My name is Vinny Lagozio, and today, I'm not building anything. Not one thing. DIY Prop Shop has officially moved to Fridays, and in lieu of doing a prop today, we are going to be sharing some tips and tricks and just fundamental skills to help you build your next project. Hey everyone, I want to talk a little bit now about electrical connections. Now this is something that you'll want to get into, especially if you want to add lights to some of your props. And we've covered how to solder on the show, but we'll go a little bit more in depth on technique and also show you a really easy way to complete your circuit. Now one of the simplest connections that you could possibly make is by using a wire nut to join two wires together. Now I would wager that a lot of the electrical connections in your house are actually done like this. It's very fast, it holds the wires pretty well, and it's extremely simple to do. So we're going to take two wires, both of the ends have been stripped off, and we're just going to give these a really light twist, and the rest of the twisting we're going to do inside until you get a nice good fit on this. You can cover this with some tape, and there you go, you're all set. Now, cool thing about this is that it took 1 second to do, but the only downside is that this is a little bulky, and if you're working in really confined spaces like our props usually have, you may want to go into soldering. So we'll talk a little bit more about that now. So this is our setup. We've got a standard soldering kit here. The tip right now is extremely hot because I already had this turned on. I usually set the intensity to about 80%. We've wet the sponge that comes with it, and we use that to scrape off our excess solder. We're going to be using 18 gauge solder. Now, you can go a little thicker if you like, but this has been fine for anything that I've ever had to work with. This is a tin and lead mixture. Now, the lead presence in the solder actually brings the melting point down, making it much easier to work with. So first, we're going to be tinning the tip of the soldering iron. That'll help keep it from oxidizing, and it'll also actually conduct the heat better from the tip to whatever it is we're trying to solder. So to do this, I'm just going to take a little bit of solder. Now this is pretty much the only time that you're going to be applying solder directly to the tip. Otherwise you're going to be heating the wire. So we're just going to put a little bit of this on both ends, like that. Scrape that off. Just for our example, we're going to connect the two exposed ends of this one wire together. I'm going to use the inline method, where we take the two exposed ends and just wrap them around one another, solder right along that little connection point. So we're all clipped up here. I'm going to tin the tip again just before touching it to the wire, and then I'm going to use the soldering tip to heat the wire, not the solder now, and just allow the solder to melt right on into the strands of the wires. Hold it up, now we get that nice thermal conductivity going on, and bam, that melts right on. Bloop, goodbye. So that's it. These wires are soldered. You've got a good connection all the way through. Great indicator is if it's silver and it's shiny, you probably did a good job. This is EVA foam. We use this all the time in our props and cosplay because it's cheap and it's easy to work with. But to get the most out of it, I want to share some tips with cutting and heating it. So the most important thing about cutting EVA foam, well, aside from being safe, is that you want to keep your blades very, very sharp to get a nice clean cut. Just by making repeated cuts in EVA, it dulls the blade so fast. So you'll either want a whole supply of spare blades on hand, or better yet, invest in a knife sharpener and sharpen in between cuts. So if we take a look close up, this edge we cut with a dull blade, and you see that the blade kind of jumps and skips around a little bit. It makes it very jagged, versus with a sharp edge, that just makes it really clean. You hardly have to do any cleanup work at all. Now let's see what happens when we score the EVA foam and apply a little heat to it. So as long as you don't heat it too much, you'll see that that hairline cut that you just made, that starts to become a nice shadowed V groove, and that really makes a nice embellishment on the surface. Pretty cool. So it's a little tough to see on camera, but in person, you'll be able to see which areas of the EVA foam you've heated and which have not been heated. The heated areas will start to develop this lustrous quality, and that's when you know that the cells are starting to fuse together, and that really gets it ready for painting. Unless, of course, you want it yellow. Usually this pattern side on the EVA foam is going to be the side that you're gluing down onto something. So it never hurts to give it a little bit more surface area, and if you can, either with a knife or sandpaper, just scuff it up a little bit. Maybe that's a good use for your dull blades, just to give that glue a little bit more surface to stick onto. So like I said, EVA foam is really easy to work with. I encourage you to go pick some up, try some techniques out, see what works for you, and really don't worry about messing up, because you could always get more. And most importantly, you gotta have fun with it. So a lot of you have been asking about cosplay tips recently, and I don't know the first thing about sewing, but we found someone who does, and we're actually going to formulate an entirely new show just for you. So I'm very happy to introduce Elizabeth Rage.
Hey everyone!
So can you tell us a little bit about you and also like how you got into my garage?
Portal gun, and my name is Elizabeth Rage. I'm a professional cosplayer and costume artist, and I'm super excited to be heading up DIY cosplay shop here on Omni.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's go check out your shop.
Yep, I got some tips and tricks for you, so follow me over here. Right now I'm going to be showing you how to make a duct tape dummy. Sometimes it's really hard to get your hands on a real dressmaker's dummy, so you've got to make one yourself. To make our dummy, we're going to need some plastic wrap, some expanding foam, some duct tape, and a friend.
Hi.
Step number 1, get to wrapping. Hold that right there.
Awesome.
Perfect. Step number 2, duct tape. You're going to want to use relatively small pieces because if you start wrapping the same way we did with the plastic wrap, you're going to constrict too much. So smaller pieces and make sure they lay flat. Once he's all taped up, now it's time to cut him out. We're going to want to make one long incision down the back and then tape it back up, as same goes for the arms. We'll probably only need to cut it up to about here. The next thing you want to do is start retaping where you just cut. Now it's time to start filling up our dummy with expanding foam. I put a hanger inside so that it's easier to hold while I'm adding it. I also put a plastic bag underneath so as not to get the expanding foam all over the floor. If you want to save up an expanding foam, you can start adding plastic bags or packing peanuts or styrofoam or anything else that's lightweight inside your duct tape dummy just to fill the space so you can add more expanding foam later. Alrighty, so our duct tape dummy is pretty much done. He still needs a little bit of time to cure overnight, so we're gonna leave him for that because the foam on the inside still hasn't completely dried yet for lack of oxygen. But he's totally ready to be wrapped up in the plastic bag and we're good to go.
So check back with us every Friday, and as soon as Odin is done with his new workshop, he'll be back with another build for you as well.
And let us know down below in the comments what you want to see next, especially if it's a really cool costume that goes with an even cooler prop.
We'll do a crossover.
Until next time, my name's Elizabeth Rage.
I'm Vinny Lagozio.
And we'll see you real soon.